love tomato plants. Here are 3 plants from my own garden. With any luck, in a couple of months, instead of looking like this, they'll look like this. There's nothing as good as a fresh-picked tomato 5 minutes off the vine in your salad. But while I was growing these plants, I took a closer look at them because I've been growing tomato plants for many years now. And I noticed on this one that the edges of the leaves on the top are starting to curl under. Now I know that's a problem, so I know that something's up with this. And when I took a look at this plant, while I was very pleased to see 2 baby tomatoes already on the vine, when I looked at this other cluster, which should also be starting to show tomatoes by now, I could see that it was withered, and in fact the buds are dead. I won't be getting any more tomatoes from this particular cluster. So I know I need to look into that to find out what's the problem. And last, while I grew this tomato plant from seed, it's a rare heirloom variety, you'll notice that the color isn't as intensely green as it was in the other shots. You'll notice there's a funny white tracery on the leaves, which is a symptom of a type of insect infestation. So in order to get to where I want, I have to be a detective using the tools, the information I've developed over the years to figure out what is wrong with each of these tomatoes. For the tomato leaf that's drooping, this could be caused by wind damage, herbicides, residue, mites, viruses. There are a variety of other things I can do, but I started out by giving this plant more water. Start with the simplest level and then escalate the issue. For the plant in which the second cluster of buds failed to produce fruit, I figured out that this probably needed fertilizer, so I gave it a dose of fertilizer, and we'll see how the next cluster on top of that comes in. For the plant where the leaves aren't green enough, I gave that fertilizer, but I also sprayed the leaf for mite. And in fact, when I sprayed the leaves, a little cluster of bugs did come off, so hopefully I fixed that problem for good. So how do I stay current about all my tomato-related knowledge? Well, sometimes I talk to the master gardeners at KCC's Farmers Market. Sometimes I just Google it. Other times I look at tomato-dedicated blogs, and once I even listened to a tomato podcast. I have to stay current because there's always new information about tomatoes, such as pesticides to use or not use, types of tomatoes that have come onto the market, or even how global warming affects how I grow my tomatoes. My point is that it's not enough for me to learn how to grow tomatoes once. I need to stay current in my knowledge. If I still tried to grow tomatoes in Hawaii the way I started growing them in the much cooler climate of Northern California, I wouldn't have the success I have today with varieties that are specific to Hawaii. If I didn't stay current with the different types of diseases that could attack tomatoes, I wouldn't know the best, most modern ways of treating them. And that's where you, the student, come in. I know it's very tempting, especially after a long, hard semester, to walk out of that final exam and just feel like you're shedding the weight of all those hours of studying. So, especially when you're in a program that leads to a workforce credential like paralegal, IT, or accounting, it's important to retain that information not only between classes, but also figure out ways to upgrade it and build on it when you're in the workforce. Like the tale of me and my tomatoes, you can pursue your lifelong learning in a variety of venues. You can join professional organizations and get information from their members. You can Google websites. You can find podcasts or blogs that you want to follow. Keeping your information current as you go out into the workforce will make your work more absorbing and more interesting, and will make you more valuable to your workplace.